All right. So, Jami, thank you for being here today. Welcome to Book Faces Live.
Thanks. It's exciting to be here.
So, welcome to anyone watching the recording. Welcome to another episode of Book Faces Live. I'm Nathan Van Coops, and today my guest is the lovely Jami Albright. Jami is the author of a Runaway Success of a series, the Brides on the Run series, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about her contemporary romance. So, thank you for being here, Jami.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a fun year.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm excited to get into this a little bit and get into some of the details about your story. So, I see that we have gone live here on the phone. I can see that we're actually streaming, so that's fantastic. So, Jami, for readers, first of all, can you tell people a little bit about your Brides on the Run series and what people can expect when they pick up one of your books?
Okay. My Brides on the Run series is a contemporary romantic comedy series. So the books are funny. They're kind of zany in places, but they're also really emotional.
Okay.
So that's what I get. A lot of the reviews are that they're really emotional and stuff. So the first book is Running from a Rock Star, and it's about Scarlett Kelly, who is a small-town Sunday school teacher, children's author, and she wakes up naked and spooning with the baddest bad boy in rock and roll, and she runs faster than you can say I do, and runs back to Texas, and he finds her. Because she left her underwear with her name written in it because she's a planner, and that's how he finds her, and mayhem ensues. The second book is Running with a Sweet Talker, and that is Scarlett and Gavin, the main characters in the first book. They're best friends. So Gavin, Jack and Luann, and they're both attorneys, and it's a road trip. So Luann finds out that her father has kind of sold her to the highest bidder right before her wedding, and runs away with Jack, and they find out some major secrets about Jack's family, and they get robbed by these pistol-toting grannies and along the way, and it's a really fun time. It's a fun book. So.
That sounds like a blast. And
they're really fun.
I was looking at I listened to the audio clip from Running from a Rockstar, and that was a lot of fun. And I was, of course, looking at some of the reviews, and you have an amazing review average. It's like 4.8 stars on both of them, which is incredible and very difficult to do. What do you think? I'm sorry. What do you think are some of the things that have been really resonating about your particular style of writing romance that is working so well for readers?
Well, I think for this time, people just want something lighthearted. They want something fun. I had a great review the other day that said I could read something steamy and not feel like I had to go to confessional. So I think that's pretty. I think that is my demographic. People that like a little steam, and they like a little sexy, and they love a good love story, but they want to laugh about it too, because that makes them feel a little bit better about the steam and the sexy. And so, for whatever reason, that's resonated with a whole group of readers. So that's worked for me. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Great. Also, I think because people just want to, they kind of want to escape. They always do when they read, especially romance writers, romance readers. But I think in the times we're living, it's just fun to have a laugh and, kind of makes you feel better.
Was this the type of story that you always wanted to write? What was?
I never. True confessions. I was not a good reader when I was growing up. I had a lot of trouble reading, especially in elementary school, and you learn to compensate and stuff. But I never read an entire book, not even through college, until I was 30 years old. Like I would start a book and then I'd get the cliff notes, or I'd just listen really well in class, and mostly because they didn't interest me. But when I was 30, I read The Partner by John Grisham, and that was kind of. I read thrillers for 10 years. I just loved them. And then when I was in my 40s, we moved to Houston. I was very sad. I didn't have any friends, and I started reading. My gateway drug to romance was Twilight, and then I had a friend that read. We read the same things, and someone gave me a Susan Elizabeth Phillips book, which is she's the queen of romantic comedy. And I just remember reading that book and laughing so hard I had to put the book down, go wipe my face because I was crying and laughing. And I remember thinking, I wish I could make somebody feel this way. Yeah. But I never even thought about writing a book. Even then, it wasn't until several years later that I thought, it was my reading buddy's birthday. And I thought, I know, I'll write Jennifer a book for her birthday because I didn't know what I was doing. And, started something, wrote myself in a corner really fast, but I was like, not all of this is horrible. Yeah. So she and I kind of brainstormed, and we brainstormed the Rockstar book, and for us, it's history. I mean, it took me, I worked on that book a long time and put it away because I thought, I can't really do this. I mean, who do I think I am? I can barely, I don't read well. And, but when I turned 50, few years ago, and I remember thinking, it's now or never. And my daughter found, I thought I had lost the book. My computer had crashed, and my daughter found a flash drive with about 20,000 of the 30,000 words that I had written on that book about the same time that I was thinking, it's kind of now or never. Yeah. And so that's how it started. So
how long, what year was this that you originally wrote
this?
How many years ago?
7 years ago. 7 years ago.
Okay.
So I worked on it for about a year and then put it away for a couple of years. And then the computer crashed and the whole bit. And then I pulled it back out, joined RWA, Romance Writers of America, in January of 2015? 14. And got involved with a critique group about 5 months later. And I always joke and say for the first 4 or 5 months, all I did was talk about writing. I didn't really and I took 10 pages. Yeah, I took 10 pages of Rockstar to that critique group, and I didn't know you were supposed to send it online. I just handed it out to there were 8 people there, and I sat there eating my potato soup at Panera Bread, pretending like I wasn't about to throw up while they read my work sitting in front of me. It's just horrible, but. I mean, one lady actually kind of threw it on the table and said, I can't do anything with this. And, I'm trying to be cool and went, oh, well, that's fine. Yeah. And, but then another lady said, this is really funny. There are just some problems. And so they kind of told me what they thought, they were actually talking amongst themselves. Like, well, if she did this and she did this, and I'm furiously writing things down. Yeah. And I went home, and 2 weeks later I brought it back with the corrections they had suggested. Yeah. And just story structure more than anything, and thought, well, here it is, I fixed it. And they were like, this is amazing, I can't believe you did what we said, now let's work on this. So all summer long it was like that. They would send it to me, and to give it to me, I'd go home and fix it. I'd go back and say, okay, I'm ready to move on, and then let's talk about sentence fragments. And so or first it was run on sentences, and then I went back, and then I got hit for sentence fragments. I did cry that week, but I waited until I got in the car. I was like, I can't do this. But
how did you initially find these ladies in this writers group?
Through RWA.
Through RWA. Okay.
My RWA had a critique group, and I was really fortunate because they were all, most of them were published, but they really, except for the one that threw, and she didn't come back after that. The rest of them were awesome. And 6 months after I started, I won my first contest with that book.
Wow.
So they really, really helped me. But when I won the contest, I had entered some number of pages, and the publishing company that did the final judging wanted the book. I was like, oh, little problem, I'm not done with the book. But thank God I wasn't, because I would have given him the book. I didn't know any better. Right. And it wouldn't have been as good as, because it took me a while to start writing, really writing it the way I wanted to write it. And, but also just the amount of, I would have never made any money off that book.
Right.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
if I'd have given it to a publisher.
Yeah. Yeah, as a new author from nowhere.
Okay. I've done okay this year.
You have, yeah. I've heard you
Yeah.
share some of your numbers on, I think I heard on the Sell More Book Show, or someone was talking about it, and you've had a phenomenal year already. And which is very difficult to do with 2 books. It's, usually it takes a while to build up steam. But you obviously did some things right from the very beginning. You didn't just throw it up there on Amazon and think, oh, here's my book, it's going to do great, without any planning. You clearly put a lot of time and effort and thought into it. And we were saying before the show, before we went live, I was saying I'd heard of you well before you had published anything, which is...
I'm notorious.
We'll call it that. But can you tell us a little bit about some of the prep you were doing and how you were preparing to release this book before you ever published it?
Yes, but can I let my dog in first?
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry, y'all. Hang on one second.
No. Have the dog join the party. Yeah. Jamie and I were just discussing this prior about how my dog also likes to run through the scene every once in a while, or snort loudly underneath the door.
All right, there I am. All right.
No problem.
So in March of 2016, I went to the Smarter Artist Summit, which was in Austin. And my intent was to publish the first book that summer after I went to the Smart Artist Summit. Mm-hmm. But while I was there, first of all, when I went, I knew very little. Just what I had learned on podcasts, listening to podcasts for about 4 or 5 months. Okay. What I knew was I didn't know anything. But I talked to Julia Kent. Yeah, exactly. I think that's why I've done as well as I've done in some areas, because I really knew I didn't know anything. Mm. Like, when I would go to critique and give they really were hard on me. But not cruel, just hard. But I took it because I knew I didn't know what I was doing. So, same with publishing. But I met Julia Kent, who's a romantic comedy writer, and I had reached out to her before we went, and she just said I should wait. She and Sean Platt both suggested I wait until I had 3 books. I didn't quite do that, but I did wait a whole year because I just felt like, well, one, I wanted to make sure that I had gotten the editing and everything for that first book the best it could be. Yeah. And the same for the second book. But I also wanted to learn as much as I could about the process. There's just so much, and it's so, it can be overwhelming. I'm an auditory learner, so listening to podcasts is great for me. I really do learn a lot from listening to podcasts. But there's a lot to be done. And so just, finding the right cover designer, finding the right editor, taking my time to make sure the product that I wrote and produced was the best I could do. And then giving it to somebody else to say, hey, can you make this better? And, do it with an editor and my critique partners. That, I really hit the critique partner lottery with my two of the women in that group. Yeah. And they really, they've just saved my bacon on a lot of things. So that made a big difference. I learned about, list building, email list and everything. And Mark Dawson talked about, you build your list beforehand. And if I would have pinched his ear if I'd have met him before my book came out, because how do you grow a list when you have nothing to give away? Right.
Yes, the big catch-22.
Yeah, exactly. But in February, before the book came out in April, I got involved with a preview book promo on InstaFreebie. So we just gave away a preview. So I put 3 chapters up on InstaFreebie and got involved. And I was actually in 2 promos. And by the time the book came out, I had 1,200 people on my newsletter list.
That's fantastic.
And, I would kiss Mark Dawson on the lips right now if I could see that. Don't worry, Miss Dawson, I'm just kidding. But that made
tag Mark in this.
Yeah. Please put that in the comments. No, just kidding, Lucy. But that made all the difference. Because if I've done what I've done right, I've done a lot of things wrong, including,
we all do,
writing slowly. Well, I don't know if that's wrong. That's just me. But what I did right was to get the book in front of the right people. And one of the ways I did that was with that newsletter list, because from the minute I got those pretty much all those 1,200 people, there's probably 1,100, I started sending out newsletters like every week. And the first newsletter I sent out was this funny story about me putting on my daughter's pants thinking I'd gained a bunch of weight, but they were actually her pants. But they knew exactly what they were getting. I mean, that story is very reflective of who I am as a writer. It's kind of zany. It's kind of crazy. You get in crazy situations. And I've continued to send out stories like that as they happen to me.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they happen a lot. So they knew what they were getting. And so when I didn't have very many, I really didn't have very many unsubscribes between when they got on the list in February and when the book came out in April. And I still have very few. I mean, honestly, I wish more people would unsubscribe, because I really do think that there's some people that are not carrying their weight. But I've done it, I've gone in and cleaned it out, but you still don't know. You just never know. But
it's hard to tell.
That's what one of the things I did really right.
Well, you have some confirmation of comment from Marilyn, says, I'm currently reading your book, Running from Rockstar. It is zany, funny, etc. Congratulations on your success. So,
oh, that's nice.
You're definitely, she can verify that she's enjoying the comments for the reasons that you think she is. So that's
funny because the first book, there's a biscuit scene, and my critique partners really felt like it was funny, but that it probably didn't have to be in the book. Okay. And I was like, that scene needs to be in the book. It really, they know more than me that I know romantic comedy, and it was just crazy enough that I felt like it needed to be in there. And my reviews, I have more than one review, that talks about the biscuit scene, and I got an email that said I made biscuits for my family. My kids made breakfast for my family. My kids enjoyed the biscuits. I enjoyed the memory. So,
that's fun.
So it's that kind of thing, just taking everyday situations and flipping them on their head.
Have you considered sending out biscuit recipes to your newsletter list?
That's an excellent idea. I'm writing that down.
Just add that to your next newsletter.
Awesome.
Yeah. Favorite biscuits. Have them send you their favorite biscuit recipes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other day, because on one of my Facebook ads, I put at the bottom, quoting one of the reviews, OMG, the biscuit scene. And the lady in the review that she wrote for me said, I saw on Facebook that this was, that it had a good biscuit scene. It did not disappoint. You read many biscuits. I don't know how mine stacks up.
That's awesome.
So that's what I found, those readers that like that kind of thing. There's I say there's no angst in my book. There's some reviews that say they're a little angsty, but mostly they're just emotional. They're really, about family and about relationships, and I try really hard to make my characters, even though they're in these crazy situations, very real, and I think that resonates with some people.
You can tell even from the descriptions that you don't shy away from making life difficult for your characters and giving them a lot of different social pressures or romantic pressures and things like that.
Actually, the first book, it's probably got every trope in romance is in that first book, because I was like, I gotta make it worse. I gotta make it worse.
Yeah.
So that I would just,
keep complicating their lives.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, I was reading your blurbs, and we've had Best Pages Forward on. We had Abigail Denard. Were these Best Page Forward blurbs?
The first one was.
The first one is?
Yeah, the first one was. And then I pretty much just did what Brian and Abigail did, and did the second one. The second one was really blurb by committee, because I wrote it again, then put it on a couple of groups, wrote it again, then put it. I'm in a online group with Claire Taylor, Amy Teagan and Alyssa Archer and Julie Strauss, Michelle Hart, all amazing writers and all editors. I'm the only not editor in there. And, they really helped me like hone it down. And then and this is another thing I think I've done right, is that because I've developed relationships with people in the industry, I asked Brian if he would critique the thing, and he said yes, and we had an arrangement, and he just critiqued it for me and told me where I could where I could go do better and where I could do worse. And so, I mean, it's just,
I think it obviously pays off. I mean, you haven't been shy about reaching out to connect with other authors, obviously, at all. Like you're whatever the opposite of this. That's probably you've made so many connections. You were explaining to me prior to going live that you actually do work for other authors as well. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, there's not much to talk about. I do some work for Michael Anderley. I'm one of his assistants. I mean, he has a production manager, and then I help him. Michael and I we don't write in the same world.
Yeah, right,
there that would cross over, except for the fact that it's just amazing to watch somebody build something from the ground up, and to be part of that and to learn the things that I get to learn working with him. That's amazing. And he's just an amazing guy. It all started because I offered to just do some more to help him out, because he'd helped so many other people out, but he wouldn't let me just do it for free. And so, I mean, he's just a really, really good guy that works hard, tries to write by the people that work for him. And so, I'm really fortunate that,
Well, I'm sure he's incredibly grateful for your support and your help.
I mean, he's grateful, but I don't know if he has reason to be.
Don't sell yourself short. You're incredibly knowledgeable. So
he's a great guy, and Stephen Campbell, who works with him, he's a great guy too. So I get to work with them, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I was very excited. I've been able to meet Michael a couple times at some conferences and such, and of course being able to hang out with you at conferences.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is
made your day.
It did. It was fantastic. So yeah, it's really great, like being able to like see a little bit of your world and some of the story behind some of this tremendous and very well deserved success. So let me look and see if there's any other comments. See if anyone else is asking any comments here. Well, if anyone is watching and has any, we had a hello from Kay. Hi, Kay. Thanks for watching. If anyone else has any questions for Jami, feel free to post them up and ask them. Or even if you're watching the replay, if you want to post a comment, a lot of people can't catch it live. If you want to post it later, we can always come back and try to answer in the comments as well. So
you're happy to do that.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I was going to ask too, your covers are gorgeous. Who's your cover artist?
Nala Quamber, and I think I'm saying her name right. Nala Quamber.
Okay.
It's Nala Quamber Designs, but she did some covers for a friend of mine, and then so I asked her, and that was hilarious because I was trying to tell her exactly what I wanted.
Right.
I want this picture and this color. Like a cover that shouldn't have cost me very much ended up costing me a little bit more than normal because I wouldn't. Finally, I just said, you know what? You're the professional. Just do what you think. She went, oh, thank goodness.
I think that's every designer, like the battle between author and designer. As soon as the author realizes they should just shut up, the cover ends up being 10 times better.
Got this beautiful cover, and actually they all look really great. The third one is done, and
nice.
It looks great with the other two, and so I'm really happy with her.
Could you give readers a little bit of a sneak peek about what book 3 is going to be about?
Book 3 is about Charlie Klein, who is she's kind of a Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, Disney sort of character, only it's not Disney in my book, it's the Carousel Network. Okay. And but her time there has come to an end, and she's had to come back to our little town of Zacksville to take care of her grandfather. Meets her old her old love, the sheriff, Hank Odom. And, a little surprise happens between Charlie and, old Hank. And so, it's kind of her story of learning to rely on herself instead of letting other people make all of her decisions for her. And all of my stories inadvertently really are about family and what family means and how it's defined and how you can define it so many different ways. And this story is no different. So, so that's what it's about. Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Do they, I know they're related characters. Do all these stories take place in the same town or not?
They do. Rockstar started in Vegas, and then they come back. He chases her back to Zacksville, Texas, which is my little made-up town between Austin and Houston. Because I'm in Houston. I used to live in Austin. So, and then, so the majority of that, a lot of that book is there, but then they go back to L.A. and stuff. The second book starts in Zacksville, but very little of it. I mean, it's just the first few pages are in Zacksville, that first chapter, and then they're on the road trip. This one will be set completely in Zacksville, so the other two couples are in this book too. Plus, I've written a novella that I gave away to my list, and the characters in that will be in this book as well. So
that's
I have
cool.
one more in this series. What happened was I was able to quit work in December, and so I came home, started writing. Got to write this book. I'm a full-time author. I've got to write. Yeah. And I wrote a whole book, but it was really bad. It was kind of sad.
Yeah, you know that.
Comedy. It was kind of sad. Yeah, but some of it was just I was just kind of not in a great place because I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't doing anything but writing and working on my own.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
And a lot of pressure. And so I couldn't even salvage that book. But what I realized was it was Charlie and Bo, who we talk about in the second book, and they don't go together. So now I have to write Bo's book. But that's that book is kind of being written as this one's being written, so it would be a lot easier. And then I think I'm done with Brides, maybe. I might do one more, but I think what I'm going to do is do a series that branches out using the town. Yeah, they're in the town, but they're not brides. It's hard with the brides. I kind of painted myself in a little bit of a corner.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tough to manufacture.
Run away from a wedding.
Yeah, but it's a cool trope. I mean, it's obviously it's got a fun audience that and people have clearly connected well with your writing and with the style and everything. Kay comments, she says, just wanted to say biscuits are our main course here in Texas. She's also in Texas.
That's so true.
So,
that is so true.
You guys can...
and then just the other thing that I've done is it's different than some people because the first book took off so well at launch. I ended up doing ads, Amazon ads. And I've continued to do those, and I really do think that that's why the books continue to stay. Yeah. Like, I checked before I got on, book one's it's at $2,200 in the store.
That's amazing.
More than a year.
Yeah. That's incredible.
And now I'm running some Facebook ads, so.
Yeah, definitely.
So advertising works. Costs money, so don't do it unless you know
a little bit of what you're doing.
I know what you're doing, but I have run ads when I didn't really know what I was doing. I tried to find somebody who did know what they were doing and to help me. So,
Well, people can learn from your experience of reaching out for sure and connecting with people and finding the ones who are doing it right for sure. A couple more comments. Andrew says, hi from the UK. Which of your books do we start with? Does it matter which one you read first?
Rockstar's first, Running from a Rockstar. I think, you don't have to read it first, but if you do, you just get to know the couple in the second book a lot better. Okay. I've heard that from people. So.
And then Kay asks a little bit says, do you think you'll ever step out of this genre and try something else? Like, would you try a different genre altogether? Or
I haven't, like a urban fantasy, paranormal romance. It's probably more paranormal romance. That's just always with me. Yeah. But it will require some world building that I don't know if I'm ready to do yet. Yeah. Plus, I like writing romantic comedy. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
And so, but maybe. And if I do, I would probably just do it under my name or, Jay Albright or something like that, because it's hard, doing the double pen name thing.
And the branding and trying to create a whole new business, basically, with second author. It's like being two different authors. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's something to potentially look forward to in the future. I know it took me a while when I wrote my first series. I had one in mind already, and then had to wait. It was just too big, and then eventually got there.
It's big. It's big, and it's a lot more characters, and you got to do the whole big bad if you're going to do, even with paranormal romance, if you're using different characters, you still have to have this big bad. Hanging out in there, and still working on it. Yeah. I work on it every once in a while. I've got a whole file on it. So. Well,
that's cool. Yeah, those ideas sometimes live in your head and marinate for quite a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Jami, it's coming up on about half an hour, so this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and sharing a little bit about your story with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I hope we'll have you on again in the future sometime. This is a blast. Yeah, and like I said, for anyone who is watching later in the replay or has comments and questions, definitely go ahead and post those up. Jami, where can people find more information about you? Where's the best place if they want to reach out and contact you, learn more about your books?
If you go to my website, www.jamialbright.com, there's a contact form there, or you can find me on Facebook, Jami Albright, author. Okay. And then my author page on Amazon, Jami Albright. Yeah.
All right. JamiAlbright.com. Jami Albright everywhere.
Jami Albright all day, all night. Put that on.
I like that. It's very, very catchy, and works well with your genre. So.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much, Jami, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.